With the 2023 NFL Draft coming up, I am going through the best of every positional group in this class. This is the third adaptation of the series, this time going through the top 10 wide receivers in this class. From a chunk of athletic wideouts with high upside to physical receivers with massive vertical talent, these are the 10 best wide receivers in the 2023 NFL Draft. I'm Chase Keller, and I hope you enjoy. I just wanted to run over a few honorable mentions who barely missed the list. From 11 to 15, I have Ole Miss wide receiver Jonathan Mingo, Cincinnati wide receiver Tyler Scott, Nebraska wide receiver Trey Palmer, LSU wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, and Penn State wide receiver Parker Washington. Let's hop into the top 10 list, beginning with explosive Houston slot Nathaniel Dell. Dell had several productive seasons at Houston, good enough for 2 cases towards the Biletnikoff Award given to college's best wide receiver. Even though he never won one of these, 2 1,300-yard seasons with great development is hard to ignore. First, Dell is a respectable athlete with a 5'8", 165-pound frame. He primarily used his athleticism to birth big plays for Houston's offense, whether it was using his elite explosiveness on a screen pass or his deep speed and quick acceleration on a deep pass. In his 2022 season, he was more used in the screen game and quick pass game, proving his reliability in a pass-first offense. With that being said, his athleticism brings a lot of upside for teams to look at. He may have run a 4.49 40 at the combine, showing that his top gear speed does not really fit his size, but the fact that he can play at all 3 levels in an offense should give teams a versatile option that looks more towards production and reliability and away from the attributes. The top gear speed with his frame is still a little concerning though. In a modern NFL, play callers rely on undersized wide receivers to either work as a gadget player or take a man deep using their speed. If Dell isn't utilized right, he will swiftly fall off any team's radar. He is also knocked off routes very easily, which kind of shows the concerns of breaking tackles in the screen game. Speaking of routes, Dell's frame also doesn't allow for an extended route tree, which hurt his productive upside at Houston. He saw mostly screen plays and quick slants in the short game, his medium routes were basic, and a limited route tree in the deep game is kind of okay. Despite the route tree, a team relying on his athleticism won't need too much out of him in terms of route running. Another minor concern with his game is his open field elusiveness given his size. He is very athletic, but his yards after catch ability is limited because of his lack of elusive moves in the open field. Just a minor concern though, as this ability can be toyed with at the next level. Tank Dell is an interesting prospect as he has a load of upside, but he will likely be avoided due to his limited skill set and frame. Despite that, I still have Dell as the 10th best receiver in this class with a C grade, translating to a 4th round grade. Oklahoma wideout Marvin Mims comes in at number 9. Mims had the hype since high school, and while he never put up ridiculous numbers with the Sooners, he is still worth being picked in this draft. First off, Mims' skill set displays a lot of physical attributes that will help him be that jump ball reliant guy at the next level. For a guy who is 5'11", 183 pounds, he is surprisingly strong and plays with a nice enough physical skill set where he can head top corners who are well bigger than him. Mixing in that he does not struggle with hauling in passes, he actually has one of the best sets out of any receiver in this class. Speaking of, Mims has capable hands at the 3 levels of receiving and in multiple aspects. In all years at Oklahoma, he had solid volume with rare concentration drops, and when a catchable ball is thrown in his radius, he makes his way to haul it in. With that being said, his catch radius is fairly solid, but it could be improved on at the next level. On the downside, Mims' frame will still be a problem. With an increase in powerful corners when translating to the NFL, Mims will need to stay laser focused to stick to his route and stay unfazed. The problem with him as a prospect is the question on if his physical skill set will translate to production at the next level. If it can, he may be one of the best receivers in this class when it's all said and done. If not, Mims will be locked into playing a slot role. Oklahoma also held Mims to a limited route tree, meaning teams will have to develop him at their best interest. Connect that to the questions about his physical translation, and there may be just a couple of good fits for Mims to live up to his full upside. Mims is a big question mark for the NFL, but his upside and great physical skill set will give teams a nice player to experiment with. Mims gets a C grade from me, translating to a 4th round talent. Maryland wide receiver Rakeem Jarrett comes out of this at number 8, one of 2 receivers who could be a massive steal in this draft depending on where they fall in line. Just like Mims, Jarrett has had hype that has existed since high school, and while he didn't succeed as much as expected, he's still a nice prospect. What makes Jarrett so appealing is his open field ability, reminiscent of CD Lamb. While he doesn't have a large of a skill set as Lamb, he still has fantastic open field elusiveness, and it's honestly better than his route running. His elusiveness spans in all four directions, but especially laterally. He has put receivers on their asses for years now. His elusiveness is stacked with other athletic traits. A solid top gear speed with good explosiveness and a good combine proved his athleticism. With his nice combination of athleticism and size, standing 6 foot 192, he has prime versatility that he brings to the table. He never had a primary alignment at Maryland, and while their scheme allows for more of that, he still excelled at all of those levels. He won't be a gadget player at the next level, but he can still be the motioned wideout if he levels himself to a starting role. Outside of his athleticism and versatility, though, he has many traits he will need to fix or improve at the next level to be a productive wideout. He has lackluster body control, which limits his catch radius. Especially for his size, his catch radius is extremely disappointing, and he will lack a true threat in the deep game. His route running is good enough since his open field elusiveness is so high, but he won't be able to utilize that route running deep if he can't find a way to better his body control. Speaking of routes, his route tree is very underdeveloped, but with the right franchise, he may be able to improve on that. Yet, add the tree onto his lackluster body control and disappointing catch radius, and there is a lot to work with. Jarrett in the right scheme will be elite, but in the wrong scheme, he will fail. There's a lot to hate about Jarrett, but digging deep, he has that hidden upside that I think will work out. Jarrett gets a C+ grade for me, translating to a mid to late third round talent. Coming in at number 7 is North Carolina wideout Josh Downs, another guy with a lot of hype, except the production continued in college and may continue at the next level. He has a very high ceiling that can be shown in multiple ways, and it starts with his athleticism. Now, Downs isn't the most athletic receiver in this class, especially when you include his top gear speed, but he does have the explosiveness off the line and the elusiveness in tight spaces and in the open field. His athleticism opens up a lot of opportunities for Downs and offenses, and he could open up into a Deebo Samuel type role. To add on to his athleticism, he has an extensive route tree that allows him to be used as a 3-level threat. He can be used on quick slants, streak route, goal line fade routes, go routes, and other game-changing roles. What makes Downs less appealing is his frame. He only stands at 5'9" and primarily played in the slot at North Carolina, and slot-exclusive receivers are falling out of the NFL tradition. His frame doesn't help his catch radius and physical traits, even though he caught a lot of contested balls in college. With the lack of physical traits, I have never scouted a worse blocker than Downs. He is a lousy blocker overall, and when he does hit his technique properly, he gets barreled over and loses his matchup. There's a solid injury concern attached to that, so teams will want to avoid playing him on run downs. A different minor concern, Downs does struggle with his hands a little bit, as in 2022 drops became an issue. Yet he's not developing backwards, so he'll be okay. Downs is an appealing prospect who is worth a good pick, but if you reach too high, you could pay the price. Downs gets a B- grade, which is worth a late second to early third round pick. Shocker at number 6, I have reigning Biletnikoff Award winner Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. Hyatt was extremely productive in a receiver-friendly offense, and there's a lot of keys to how Hyatt was successful and why he will be successful at the next level. Hyatt is a great athlete, and he uses athleticism to develop into a reliable deep threat. Possibly the most dynamic receiver in college football, he consistently made plays for himself and for quarterback Hendon Hooker to show off his elite arm strength. He has the speed, of course, but his acceleration and explosiveness off the line is what made him win so many matchups in college and what will likely have him win more at the next level. Along with his athleticism, he is a great ball tracker deep, and with great body control, he can develop into one of the most lethal deep threats in the league. His route running in the short and medium game is also great, but he may not be a 3-level threat. You see, Tennessee runs an extremely fast-tempo offense that saw success through throwing the defense off. This offense was a massive reason for the success of Hyatt in the deep game. There is a lingering question whether or not his production will continue at the next level because of this, and the Biletnikoff may be a facade. This is the exact reason that fellow Tennessee wideout Cedric Tillman is nowhere near this top 10 list. With the potential facade, we saw only one successful season with Tennessee, as we saw 500 yards and 4 touchdowns combined in the previous 2 seasons. In those seasons, he looked less talented and clear enough to see that Tennessee's fast-tempo offense helped develop Hyatt a lot. Along with these issues, Hyatt's release needs to be tested at the next level, and once again, because of the fast tempo, he rarely saw press coverage and was never challenged. At the next level, Hyatt is a big question mark, but some things just can't be challenged. He is still a fantastic deep threat that may see production at all 3 levels of offense. Hyatt gets a B grade, which translates to a mid-second round pick. Digging into the top 5, I have another potential steal in this class with SMU receiver Rasheed Rice, who almost reminds me just of Cortland Sutton, another SMU receiver who is successful at the next level. Rice may be the better prospect as well. Starting off, he is very athletic when you take into account his 6'1", 204-pound frame. He may lack a top gear speed, but his acceleration and elusiveness is like no other. His athleticism turned him into a quarterback's best friend in 2022, being very reliable at all 3 levels of receiving. He has a great sense for the ball, and he can make plays for himself with and without the ball. At the next level, he is likely to see a lot of screen action to get his great playmaking tested in the open field. Rice also has great body control to connect with his elusiveness. Often at SMU, he redirected himself to make an uncatchable ball catchable. The only issue with this practice is that at the next level, cornerbacks may react faster and get to that uncatchable ball before Rice, especially when you take into account for the fact that he played in a group of 5 conference. Negatively, Rice's route tree needs to be expanded given his frame and wide skill set. He has a solid route runner with great instincts, but because of SMU's offense, his tree is a bit underdeveloped and he will need to extend for massive success in the NFL. He is a solid route runner with great instincts, but because of SMU's offense, his tree is a bit underdeveloped and will need to extend on that for maximum success in the NFL. Adding on to that, Rice often had concentration drops because of his true confidence. He sets himself using his tracking skills, levels through contact and different adjustments with his body control, but then sometimes struggles to haul in the football afterwards. It's almost like he makes the difficult catches look easy and the easy catches look difficult. With a high floor and a semi-high ceiling, Rice is a safe pick who may come in as a steal if he goes past the second round. It's all dependent on if he can develop out of SMU's offense and land in the right developmental system. Rice gets a B+ from me, which translates to an early second round pick. Coming in at number 4 is Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State. Just like Hyatt, we only saw 1 season out of JSN, including an injury on that, but his season was more productive and appealing than Hyatt's. JSN's skill starts with his route running. His deceptive footwork and elusiveness works well to get loads of separation, especially in the red zone. He saw 9 touchdowns in 2022, and while he could have brought in more, he constantly set up CJ Stroud for success, with 44 touchdowns in 2021. His hands go great with his route running, as he is always hauling in the passes whether they are contested or not. The separation that he creates always pays off, and if he can connect with a great NFL quarterback, he will develop fast. His body control is also fantastic. There's one play that I do not have access to, but against Nebraska, he made a ridiculous fade back, toe tap catch in the end zone that was ranked as the catch of the year in 2021. That epitomizes the body control that JSN brings to the table. The concern with JSN is the amount of production he had at Ohio State. Just like wide receiver 6 Hyatt, he had 1 productive season with Ohio State, and in his other 2 years, he had 82 yards and 1 touchdown on 15 catches. The add-on with that is the injury concern, where he played through his 1,600-yard season with a hamstring injury and missed nearly the entire 2022 season with the same concern. Along with that, he has never been challenged in the press just like Hyatt. He played a lot of snaps in the slot in 2021, but he does have outside skill and experience. He just needs to show that he can break the press. He also has proven a lot, but with his hamstring injury and a lot of early NFL talent, he doesn't have a lot of upside. Overall, JSN is a developed receiver who may not take a massive leap at the next level, but there's no need to when he's already got the talent. He gets a B+ grade for me, which is an early second round talent. At number 3, I have USC wideout Jordan Addison, who had his best season with Pitt in 2021. There's no denying that Addison's drop in production after transferring is a little concerning, but he still has a lot of NFL traits that I loved watching in his film. Jordan Addison's first big attribute is the separation he creates through his route running. Whether it's through quick feet and elite lateral movement, or through a physical fight with the DB that he can legally push to get his separation. In his film, I noticed that sometimes he may not create elite separation, but he always creates enough to get the ball to him. He may need a great quarterback at the next level, but if it goes as projected, I have him either having Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. We will see. He is also a very reliable wideout who can threaten at all 3 levels of receiving. If you need to throw him a screen, you can. If you need to throw him a fade, you can. If you need to throw him a deep ball, you can. He has the talent to get the ball wherever. The problem with Addison is his athleticism. He is a solid athlete, but his top gear speed won't be enough to separate from speedy defensive backs. His lateral movement is fine, his acceleration is fine, but it's unsure if his athleticism will pass at the next level. Addison improved on his hands in 2022, but in his Biletnikoff Award winning 2021 season, he struggled with concentration drops, and at the next level, that will not fly. If he continues to improve, though, his reliability will shine. Addison also struggles with body control on deep passes, but that's not the biggest issue. He just needs to learn to use his hands instead of his body when hauling the ball in. Concluding with Addison, he has that NFL level talent to be an immediate starter. Yet, if he wants to contain his reliability at the next level, he will need to improve on several aspects. Addison gets a B+ for me, which is an early second round talent. Another solid surprise at number 2, Zay Flowers out of Boston College, whose stock continues to rise week by week. He had a nice combine performance, which is finally putting him on the map, and there's no doubt that after watching the film, he has a great skill set that will easily translate to the next level. Zay Flowers is the best route runner in this class. I said it. He's got some of the best elusiveness in this class, especially from north to south. His comeback routes are some of the cleanest routes that I have ever watched in the prospect. He also runs some amazing go routes to get him open deep. Laterally, he still has great talent, but his north to south elusiveness is just way too good. Because of his fantastic route running, Flowers is a 3-level threat. He worked hard to get open in the short game, primarily due to his frame, but he has a lot of talent getting separation at every level. And overall, Flowers is just athletic. He has that top gear speed, he has that explosiveness, he clearly has the elusiveness. Him being that athletic alone will get him a lot of opportunities at the next level. His frame is the biggest issue, as he stands at a small 5'9", 182. It was recently released that he gained 13 pounds, and he's constantly putting on more weight, which is going to be great, but being 5'9" alone will make it tough for him to receive outside reps at the next level. Because of his size, he has a small catch radius, which will be prevented by a great quarterback. Especially if he's used in the screen and deep game, it won't matter as much. In fact, his Boston College quarterback wasn't too good and constantly exposed his small catch radius. Flowers should also spend time working on his hands, as both concentration drops and simple drops lurk throughout his college career. He will be tested with tight coverage at the next level, so if he can improve on his catching abilities, he will miss a lot of opportunities. As a prospect, I am loving Zay Flowers and how underrated he might be. There's a slight chance that he becomes the best receiver out of this class, but there is almost a 100% shot that he comes out as a starter. I'm giving Flowers a very high B+, just like I gave Jahmyr Gibbs in my last video, which is right at the top of the second round. Finally, at number 1 with a solid margin, I have TCU wideout Quentin Johnson, another guy who is hyped to do numbers, and while TCU's offense spread the ball more than expected, Johnson is still the most talented receiver in this class. Johnson is the most valuable receiver in this class as he brings the most proven NFL talent to the table, nearly topped by JSN. But there's a massive gap between 3-level threats. He is just as effective in every level of receiving, whether it's being relied on to catch and run with screens or short passes, running up the seam from the slot to get a first down quick, or catching a deep ball that gets a clutch touchdown or red zone appearance. He has done them all. His route running gets him that far. He is great with multiple levels of route running, just like Addison. He has the elusiveness to get open anywhere, and he has the physical traits to get off of defensive backs. That may be a college thing, and I'll explain that in a second. He's got good enough route running, I will say, and he's a fun, dynamic runner, and he will expand on that at the next level. He's also a great playmaker. As I mentioned, he can be relied on in the short game, and it always works, as his yards after catch ability is top-notch in this class. He refuses to go down without a fight, and he will show that in the NFL. The problem with Johnson, he's a little lackluster off the release, but it will fly at the next level. His route running will have to make up for lost explosiveness off the line, and I think it's good enough, but he should attempt to work more at being effective off the line. Another route running thing is that physicality part. While it worked in college, experienced physical defensive backs will take away that part of the route running for Johnston, and he will be forced to go all elusive. Continuing on, he does have a slightly underdeveloped route tree, but with how he works at creating separation, I don't think he'll have an underdeveloped tree for too long. Johnston is the best receiver in this class by a good margin, but he doesn't have the most upside, and he could easily not be the best wideout. Yet, with all of his talent and NFL traits, I am all but sure he will work out at the next level. Johnston gets an A grade, which is an early to mid first round talent. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video on the top 10 wide receivers in the 2023 NFL Draft Class. Did you agree? Did you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and thank you guys for choosing this channel as your source of sports coverage. See you guys in the next one.